But as a kid, I saw Kiss in concert, and I wanted to be a rock star. And then Bruce Willis put an album out, and I didn't want to be a rock star anymore. But I wanted attention, and it just seemed to, I kind of gravitated towards that. I would hear guys, professional stand-ups, and inspire me. It's like, that's something I want to do. It's something I think I always wanted to do, but I didn't know I wanted to do until a little later on in life. The first time I did stand-up comedy, it was an open mic, and I didn't tell anybody, any of my friends, that I was doing this, because your friends are only good for so far, It's just, the money is in making strangers laugh. And that, in my mind, was the key. And I remember the first night I was on stage, I had a can of Coca-Cola, and I had my notes on a Post-it note. It was so ratchet, you can't believe it. And I remember I did okay, but the first thing I felt when I got off the stage is, I want to go back up there and do this again and fix it and do it right. And still to this day, even after the best shows, I'm like, we're all nitpicky, and it's something you always want it to be the best you could possibly be. Wow, I gotta go with Sam Kinnison's "Louder Than Hell." That was like the Beatles to me, hearing that, because I'd heard comedy, but I didn't even know that kind of stuff existed. I didn't know that was there. I oddly enough, I loved those Steve Martin albums when I was a kid. They were so silly but so funny and so deep. Two various things. I mean, I grew up listening to comedy albums, and I still have the comedy albums. So I think pound for pound, those are hilarious. Somebody that's not as funny as me. I want to be the funniest guy on the show. To answer that question correctly, it's got to be somebody different than me. You don't. The example I've heard, and is a good example. You don't want three musicians on a show. It's like, who wants to close that show? So it's got to be somebody different in the way they think about things, and the way they talk about things, and the way they do things, for me, because that makes it a better show. That gives it balance. I really liked Sam Kinison and Bill Hicks. I had the opportunity to work with Bill Hicks. I thought he was hilarious. Everyone says Pryor and Carlin, and they're real good. Currently, I think Doug Stanhope's one of the funniest guys out there. I can't pick five. That's like asking me, like, what are your 5 favorite CDs? I've got like 1,000. I mean, so I just like guys that push you a little bit, and guys that not shock value guys, but guys that come, like Dana Gould's another one who's absolutely hilarious, that come up with stuff that you wish you would have thought of. That you was like, why didn't I think of that? It was so simple. Why didn't I think of, like Chris Rock, why didn't I think of what he did, or D.L. Hughley, or any of these guys, but I can't put 5 in there. Can't do 5, sorry.
You're 5.
If I didn't mention your name.
And,
Me. I'm number 5. My favorite movie is Caddyshack, and I actually met Michael O'Keefe, the guy that played Danny Noonan in the movie, and it's funny because I've seen it over 300 times, but you don't want to say a line from that movie to the guy. He's heard every line. I just remember thinking, man, he's really tall. That's it. I was always a big Simpsons fan. I still think that's one of the funniest pound-for-pound shows. ever in the history of television, movies, television shows. I tell you what, the one thing I never really got was the Three Stooges. And I know I'm supposed to love them, and I'm sorry, but I don't. I kind of thought it was a one-trick pony. I don't want to. I don't want to do improv or mime or I don't know. I just like what I do. You know, it's not branching off. It's evolving a little bit. You know, you've got to change your point of view, or you got to change the way, the dynamic that you and the audience have, and that's the hard part about it. You start to do this thing, and you get into a routine, and you have to evolve, and I'm not I don't know if I'm smart enough to figure out how that works, but that I think stand-up is what I want to do. The line is, stand-up is the only business whose ultimate goal is to get out of stand-up. You know, to do that. But I really like this. It's what I want to do. I've always said a lot of my stand-up is the right way to do something wrong. And I think what I have to do is to go to a different level is to do it wrong, is to do it backwards, and not, you know, I think barnstorming is just going to every little bar and juke joint I could get into and try to create a fan base. I don't want to leave the clubs behind, but I think I've got to. I think I just want to be on the road and make it work that way, and you get some of these. You can find me on social media by typing Booze Coma, BOOZECOMA, wherever you are. I'm at boozecoma.com. I'm at Booze Coma on Twitter. I'm at Booze Coma Shots on Instagram. The Booze Coma page on Facebook. YouTube, Booze Coma comedy page. It's that simple. I wanted something that was easier to spell than my last name. Not that John McClellan is a hard thing to spell, but people always seem to get it wrong. And I found that somebody wanted money for JohnMcClellan.com, and I'm of the opinion I'd rather spend my money keeping my name off the internet than on. Hi, my name's John McClellan. You can check out my interview on cutiepie.com.